Hi, we are in a first line day, a new gate, gate 45. This is the gate of the gatherer, and line 1 is called canvassing. So above the lines in the Rave I Ching of gate 45, it says the natural and generally beneficial attraction of like forces. This is the foundation. So the nature of what a ruler is can be seen in this first line, which is called canvassing. In the exaltation, we have the ability to promote and develop gathering together through the education of the uncommitted. The material direction lies in education. So rulership, you could say, is conditioned by education. If the ruler does not educate, the ruler will fail. They will lose their power because educating their subjects, it makes a real difference. This is where the loyalty comes from. After all, the 45, it's an outlet to the throat for the material plane, but it is not the doer. But what it does offer is how manifestation can take place. And that manifestation must include education. We live in a material world, and you could say that the 45, in a way, it's the pinnacle of that on this planet. It's the end of the stream that begins with the marrying maiden who's looking to further her ambitions. It's that channel of ambition there. So the 45 going to the 32, then crossing to the 20, to the 44, going up to the 26, and then finishing off in this 2145. So it is the sort of the pinnacle of ambition, if you like, is to become the concubine who becomes the empress. If you look at every service industry in the world, I'm a service industry. I'm a service industry to blackbirds. I must have educated them to come to me for sultanas whenever they're hungry. And then they've educated me to give them to them. So it's like Pavlov's blackbird. Look at every service industry, and you can see that it's actually just a process of education. It's an industry of education in some sense, because every product that you're introduced to, you have to be educated to it in a sense. Every business, it tries to educate their customers about what's available and what isn't, and why their product is the best and why they should buy it. And the whole material plane in some senses is about information. If you look at most products that you buy, look at the information on the side of that carton or that box or that tin or whatever it is. The people who have designed these things, they know that education is really important, that people want to know what's in there, what's in. They might not necessarily be telling the truth, but they're certainly giving you information of a sort. They might be manipulating the energy slightly, which is interesting because the 26, which grounds the 45, is a gate of manipulation. So you can educate people, but you can slightly manipulate them so that they're doing what you want them to do. But it is a way to get loyalty. Very often the messaging on the side of a packet is designed to make you loyal to whatever that brand is. If you obscure information, if you hide facts, then you can be considered dangerous, and that's not a good trait in a ruler. That's not someone who can be trusted. It's not someone who's going to inspire loyalty. So through this lens, we can see that the first step in rulership is the recognition that in order to be able to rule, those who are being ruled must be educated. That's the benefit that is immediately available to them. And it's also a really good way to make money. If you have the 45 one and you really want to make a living, then you have to recognize that your best way is to teach people something, to explain something to them that they don't already know, and then you will be successful. And as a first line, of course, you're going to have a really good grasp of the foundation of things in order to be able to share that. In the detriment, we find an overzealousness that turns canvassing into proselytization and tends to alienate rather than gather support. It's the drive for material things that leads to aggressive education. Oh. These are the people who are going to hammer at your door with a suitcase full of encyclopedias, and they can drive you absolutely mad. And yet at the same time, we need them. We need them because there's no material success without education. And if you look at the world that we live in and you look at the education comparisons, it's clear that the better educated you are, the more money you can earn, generally speaking. The more peaceful your society will be, the more food that you'll be able to buy, and the more jobs that are available, and so on and so forth. It all builds on a really strong foundation of education, all of it rooted in education. The 45 is allowed to possess. It's their nature. They have to possess. Possessiveness is a big part of this. And at the same time, out of their possession, they must bring benefit to others, and they must be of value to others. If they're just making money from the tribe for their own benefit, then that's not a leader who is benefiting the public. And Ra says that any money they do make from their tribe, it will be kind of poisoned in a way, because it's not of benefit. The leader must bring benefit. And the grounding of the earth to the sun is gate 26, as I said, it's the gate of the egoist. And here in the first line, we have a bird in the hand. This is where the ego wants the assessment of others to be based on what they've actually accomplished, not on what the ego has to convince them that has been accomplished. And this is very supportive of the 45-1, who is gathering their support and loyalty through education and beneficial works. It's like, judge me on what I've done for you. Judge me on the benefit that I have brought to the tribe. The moon, the gate of extremes at 10:34. So we're starting off with a new gate, but no leftover from yesterday here. Gate 15. This is in the G center, and it's the love of humanity or not. And it's a quality of behavior that expresses the proper balance between extremes. It's a highly magnetic gate. It draws other people towards them without effort. This is the gate where you can go into an empty shop, and within minutes there'll be coach parties drawing off outside and queues forming at the door. Well, maybe not quite that, but it's amazing how magnetic this gate is. I might have mentioned before that I have this one, and I was at a show. It was a knitting and stitching show, and I was trying on some clothes. They always have these lots of stalls, lots of stands, and they had this clothing stand that was completely empty. And I went in and I was trying something on, and just looking at myself. Within minutes, all of these people came into this stall, and the guy couldn't cope with all the people that were in there. And he looked at me and he said, so he did recognize, it was interesting that he did recognize, and he said, I should have you standing there all day in front of that mirror. He said, look at all the people you've brought into my stall. A very magnetic gate. The gate of extremes, it's actually, it is about finding balance. And perhaps the extremes have to be experienced. They have to be played out in order to find the balance. But balance is the point, really, here. At 20:34, we move into gate 52. This is keeping still mountain, the gate of inaction. It's the ability to still the physical body and the senses, and to use the power to concentrate on whatever it is worthwhile to dedicate energy toward. It's a root center gate, and it needs its balance to drive forward with the ability to remain still and concentrate. So there's, it's an interesting thing to find a balance there. Interesting that it comes in from the gate of extremes. After you do this for a while and follow the transits, and the moon is easier in a way because it's so much quicker, but you can really start to see how one does lead into another. Gate 39, and at 6:41 tomorrow morning. This is the gate of provocation. It's another root gate. And it's the pressure to provoke the emotions of others, to discover the quality of their spirit, looking for something that you resonate to. People with this gate are provocative by nature, you know, and they can easily and quite unintentionally trigger irritation just through the energetic imprint of their aura. It can be a tricky gate to have, you know, it can be a tricky gate to be in aura with. It is individual, so it can have melancholy moments, and it's looking at the solar plexus, so there could be waves of emotion too. And it's the wave of hope and pain and back again. It can be very dramatic. We have some channels activated. I covered some of these in the overview, so you might already have seen this. The 2145, the money line. The 45, this one is activated for the duration of our transit because the North Node is in 21. And of course, we've got the Sun in 45. It's a manifestor channel. So if you don't have this consistently in your design, bring some awareness to any impulses you have to initiate, or maybe any particular focus you develop on having the correct resources, or mastering the material plane, or being particularly possessive about your territory or your possessions even. It's a channel that wants to lead and be in control. Remember, it doesn't always play well with others. So watch out for these themes. And the 4816 is the wavelength, the design of talent, activated through the South Node and Mercury moving out tomorrow. So we've only got this for a little while. The wavelength is about mastery. It's about practice makes perfect, refining the logical experiments in order to see what's going to be verified, what can be repeated, and what then can be carried forward into the future. And then the 63. This is activated through Pluto and Mars, and this is the channel of mutation, and it's been around one way or another for quite a while. Pluto is retrograding back here at the moment, and it will then go back into 41 in a little while as it brings its way slowly towards the mutation of 2027. And this is a pulse energy. You know, something's changing, something's not changing, something's changing, something's not changing. When is something going to change? The pulse operates in its own timing. We have no control over that at all. Gate 3 is difficulty at the beginning, and also the gate of ordering. So maybe there's a sense of needing to bring some order because things are changing so fast. These things always have lots of different ways of explaining them, but you know, as long as you're using the keynotes that Ra laid down, then there's no right or wrong way really to do this, because we all are, you know, differentiated selves. We all have a different way of experiencing these energies, and we can play with them. We can have fun. So if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, take the keynotes, put them in a different order, and see if that works. And let me know in the comments how that works for you, if it works for you. And that's me done. Thank you very much for watching, and go gently, and I will see you tomorrow.